Hello and welcome to Meet the Manager. I have Palmer joining me today. Excited to jump in, get a little bit about your story, get a little bit about kind of your MFL experience, how the year's going, all that fun stuff. So, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was going to say we're on different time zones to yourself,
Yeah,
so just finishing up for the day from work and starting to rest for the evening. But I'm all good.
yeah, I'm taking a long lunch, so slightly different for us, but we're here to talk about MFL. One of the questions when you jumped on, one of the first questions I had was about the kit that you're wearing. Mind giving us a quick introduction on who you're repping?
Yeah, yeah. So this is Metalurg Zaporizhia, which is a team in Zaporizhia, Ukraine. So I think a few people from the BFC and stuff know my partner's Ukrainian, and I went over there a few months ago and went up to the stadium and kindly got gifted this shirt. Got invited into a under-19s game, and yeah,
Nice.
so I've been following them for past few seasons, trying to get their new kit that they've just released. So yeah, I thought I'd wear it with pride today.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that. I don't have such a fun story. I got one of those like four mystery kits, and this was one of them, and felt like it was appropriate to wear a football kit. So it's the first time I've worn it. It's a little too tight. The European sizes and the American sizes are a little different. It's a little tight on my gut. So from the shoulders up, it's not so bad. So it's perfect for this.
Stay seated.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions I have is your avatar. I don't know if anyone's asked you this. First time I saw it, I loved it. Can you tell us a little bit about the avatar you have and kind of where the idea came from?
Yeah, it makes me laugh that I think not many people actually realise, I suppose, if you don't click on them Discord. So at first I had, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I had Stefan Barchetic. Stefan Barchetic is his face over Stone Cold Steve Austin. Had that years and years ago. And then, I mean, I've got a signed shirt from Barchetic. And a couple of years back, I changed it to Jurgen Klopp. So it's Jurgen Klopp ex Stone Cold Steve Austin, where Austin's on the ropes smashing the beers together. And yeah, but I love it, and it makes me laugh. There was a chat in the Ramble today actually where somebody said, "I didn't realise that was Klopp's face." So yeah, it's one of those where I feel like I should have changed it and updated it, but it's always a fun story when people click on it and see it. So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
First time I saw it, I kind of glanced at it, my brain processed it, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, something's wrong," and then clicked into it and realized that it was Klopp. I guess the question now is when does Klopp's face come off and Ernie Slot's face go on? What does he have to
Yeah,
do to get on there?
I mean, time will tell. I mean, I don't know your knowledge. So, Burnley, they have this pub outside the stadium, and they always kind of name it after the manager. So it was the Royal Dyche with Sean Dyche's face and a kind of an old timey hat. It went through Vincent Company without a change, and they've recently changed it for Scott Parker. So I think maybe another season or so under Slot, and see kind of what he does, and I might have to have a little revamp. But it's an identity almost for myself now. So I don't know. I'll have to think about something.
Yeah, that's tough. If you've got something that kind of follows the manager, but then it's part of your brand, then you're rebranding yourself. But yeah, I wanted to call that out. I thought that's fun, and everyone's avatar is a bit different, and I really like that one. Um, so, big Liverpool fan. Would you say that's your favorite sports team? If you had to kind of narrow it down to one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a Liverpool fan through and through. I mean, I've recently, I mean, I've got loads of, for those viewers, I don't know if you can see, but loads and loads of cards, sports cards next to me that I need to sort through. These are just some base cards and things. Um, but yeah, I'm a big kind of trading card collector, Liverpool collector. Recently have picked up an NBA team and NHL team, so I'm now following the Charlotte Hornets for a few of the American viewers and the Anaheim Ducks for in hockey. So I was awake for about till 2 3 in the morning watching the Summer League, and a lot of the Americans are like, Summer League, why are you watching that? It's that's they'll go to the G League, you don't care. And I'm like, I fucking love it. And they went, I think, 5-0, 6-0. I can't remember the exact score, but yeah, so undefeated in the Summer League. So that's my second love now is Charlotte Hornets, and then followed by Green Bay Packers, which I know you mentioned Ramble before. I'm in the Ramble draft for the American football. So yeah, for football wise, Liverpool through and through. But in terms of viewing, I'm much more of kind of a non-league follower. So in the Midlands where I live, there's a lot of non-league grounds. So obviously you've got, some of the founding clubs in terms of your Stokes, your Wolverhamptons, things like that. Aston Villa's, some of the first football clubs. And there's just such a depth of non-league, lower league pyramid clubs. So a lot of questions, I suppose, in MFL, people say, "Oh, do you watch Diamond League?" I'm a fan of, kind of going around the ice and lower Spark and Flint. That's my football love. Go and watch true football, people, smashing studs through somebody's kneecaps, and that's what I like on a Saturday.
Yeah, I love that. There's not that same culture in American sports for the lower leagues, and there's a lot of fair weather fans. I don't know if you guys use that phrase, but probably the best analogy would be like the recent Man City fan.
Yeah,
It's like it's hard to really appreciate them as a real fan versus someone that's been going to non-league games for 30 years. And baseball has a minor league system, but it doesn't have the same cult following that some of the non-league teams have. I think that was one of the reasons that We Are Wrexham has been so popular in the U.S. because it was a completely new thing for so many Americans that this like small non-league team could have such a history and such passionate fans and such a great culture around it. How could something so small be so big? Minor league baseball has some stuff like that. I was joking with Jimbo about the Durham Bulls. And there's a movie, I think they're most famous because of the movie that came out in the 80s, but not quite the same. That's awesome. And you still get to see the sport and the passion. College sports may be the closest thing we have.
I was going to say, there was a few when I was kind of picking. I literally picked the basketball and hockey team off the logo. I have no idea. I was like, that looks cool. So I've ordered caps there next door. Otherwise, I'd throw one on. So I've got caps for both the teams. And then people were like, right, now you need a college team. I'm like, fucking hell, I've just picked this. And they're like, no, follow a college team. You need to go and find the university that's closest to the team and now watch them for, I'm like, oh my God. So I suppose American sports kind of goes, college is almost bigger than the pros and coming through there. But one thing I love for lower league and non-league, and I watch a lot of kind of under 21s as well. Tyler Dibbling for Southampton. I don't know if you've heard of the name. So I watched him at a club down the road from me 2 seasons ago maybe. And a friend of mine whose dad was assistant manager at a club down south, I was telling him, get Tyler Dibbling on loan. He was about 16, 17, and now he's, linked for a 45, 50 million pound move to Everton. And it's just like, not to say I was the first one that spotted him, but I've gone and watched him. I can say I've seen him live and he's such a talent. And I did that for £5-6, whereas I'm not a fan of going and dropping £100 to go watch a Premier League game. So, quality over quantity or whatever, but I'm probably more quantity, get more games in for cheaper and go have a good laugh.
It's fun finding those future stories too, and you feel like a genius when you get one right. And nobody remembers when you miss. They're like, "Who is that guy you were talking about?" You're never going to mention the guy that you completely missed on. I went to, when we first moved to Raleigh. I'm Major League Baseball. I won't bore you, but Braves fan. They had a young up and comer that was like their number one up and comer guy, and he was close by in a very, very small, like a lower league game. And we went to go see him play, and they played another top up and comer. It was Dansby Swanson and Gleyber Torres were the two names if anyone follows baseball. And same kind of thing. We got in for like $5, and it was chaos, and the the team had a mascot, and I don't even remember what it was, but they had a miniature one that was clearly a and they were crazy. In between innings, they were fighting in the outfield. They had a go-kart. They had a miniature go-kart for the little one. I mean, it was a total mess, and it was so much fun. Throwing water balloons at each other, and they had like $1 hot dogs, $1 beers, and I'm like, this is it. $5 to get in. You get 5 beers, 5 hot dogs for another $10. And not everyone on that team made it, but we got to see 2 big names, and we left, and it was like, what an experience for $10. So yeah,
Literally.
I can relate to that for sure. So if you ever make it over to the States, I can point you in the direction of a shitty minor league baseball game and you can have a good time.
Sounds good.
So question I have on here, I like to ask everyone, I think it's just kind of a fun, silly question, is do you have a favorite player? Do you have a guy that kind of sticks with you?
Are we talking real life or MFL?
Sorry. Let's do both. I'm an MFL, but let's do both.
MFL, it's my striker Reinhard Hort. I picked up the guy for $160, I think it was. Back in the beta seasons, I've just pulled it up quickly. So I picked him up for $160. He was a 75 overall player.
Okay.
Cost me 13,000 MFL in season one. So 13,000 MFL. I put him into the dev jail for 4 years. He's currently now an 84 overall, about to break into a Lego. He's 22 years old, and he's the kind of player that I get multiple messages each season. I think he will firmly retire. He will retire with me. And second, IRL, I mentioned it before, Stefan Barcetic. He's been absolutely hampered by injury. He played, as I say, you got it on screen there. So he came and played. He's the defensive midfielder for Liverpool. He just reminds me of a Sergio Busquets. He's kind of tall, he's fairly lean, he's brilliant technical ability. He's not kind of a scrapper in midfielder. He's very much a ball-playing defensive mid. He's had a lot of injuries. He's been out on loan. He's just recently had some surgery done, so he's missed pre-season. He's linked with a loan move. I think, I always get it confused. I think it's over to Celtic. He's been linked with a loan move. And Barcetic is the guy that I'm kind of really hoping he can kind of go out on loan, prove himself, and come back and be almost a number two behind Gravenbach and advance into that role, because he's not had it easy. He's been away for 2 different loans this season, and kind of both teams have been very much struggling. Ball manager, under Pep Linders, it didn't work out for him over there, and then he went over to Spain, and the team was, relegated basically when he joined, and he was up against it. So, really, really hoping he can come good, really. So that's my 2, both youngsters, both big future prospects, and I'm a sucker for a story.
You seem like you're definitely more of a youngster, kind of cutting his teeth, breaking through. Does that follow through on MFL? Or are you kind of pay the premium for the 17, 18-year-old and watch the career bloom? Is that definitely your preference, or are you a little bit more mixed?
Good question. I mean, I've not really been on too much of a spending spree in terms of individual players past few seasons. I kind of stockpiled my agency before progression, very much favouring the younger people, kind of under 21s ideally, but definitely under 24s. I've gone through a few different agency buys, which has now seen me, I think I'm on like 450 players. I think I'm just blocking it on your screen. Yeah. So, I've got a lot of players. Yeah, 400, how many, sorry?
483.
Oh, jeez, that's more than I thought. So closing in on 500 players, and I suppose it's a mix. But yeah, I love hitting that progression every morning and seeing what could be. So yeah, I love a story, and I love that fairy tale of seeing who can progress well.
Do we credit you for this tab here? The hours. Was this your recommendation to Axe?
I think I threw it in there, but I definitely wasn't the first, and I probably wasn't the last, but I probably would have got on board with it because, I think, I'm trying to think. I know the numbers one for the minimum games. That was kind of a joint effort with a couple of people. I think Josh was in there as well when we were in Paris. And I kind of firmly threw it into the ideas channel that came, but I can't remember who came up with the custom. Whether that was just done on the team or somebody else was requesting, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I like that. Progression has felt a little slower this year. I was a big fan of just seeing the afternoon progression after the games. And I'm tricking myself now. I'm just doing last 24 hours, and I'm like, I saw this morning, but I'll look at it again. I'll pretend like they're progressing more than they are. Sometimes a little lie is good, but yeah, love those two tabs, and the minimum loans is really good. A couple times I thought
Yeah.
20 was a bit too much, and I thought 15. I can understand wanting to get more than the 15, and then the biggest use case I think is the second half of the season. Um,
Yeah, that was about to say. Yeah.
so big, big, big ad there. Appreciate the call outs. I think that's something that you're kind of known for now is those little ads.
Yeah. Lucas with the Palmer idea bulb. I was in hysterics. Taggart forwarded something onto me, and I clicked onto it, and it had been deleted out. And then he showed me that Lucas had created a new little emoji, Palmer in a light bulb, and I was pissing myself. It was absolutely brilliant. It's one of those where I think I don't feel like I suggest that much, and I think it was almost that I suggested things and then they happened, and other people will be like, I suggested that 6 weeks ago, and it became a thing that, it's probably something that was suggested 6 weeks ago. Yax has already started working on. I've, reminded him, and he's gone, okay, I'll finish it up for an hour or two. It's posted, and it's all looked like I'm taking the credit, and yeah, it makes me laugh, but I definitely bombard him with my fair share of ideas. That's for sure.
You may be getting too much credit, but that's okay. There is a bit of an
I don't mind.
there, yeah, right. You've got an emoji out of it. There is a bit of an art form in getting an idea, getting a developer to take an idea and getting it over the line, kind of presenting the use case for it and the value case, and not to turn too negative or throw so much shade. There are a lot of things that go into the MFL Discord that are just kind of like they're presented kind of in a half baked manner, whether it's an idea or a complaint or something like that. And it may be a very valid thing or pointing out a bug. It's not presented so well, and so it comes across with less value versus if it's like, hey, we really need more a more dynamic loan simulator in here. Let me show you why. And then it's like, oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That's not just like a one-off, one in a million complaint, but something that has like a real use case. So, like I said, I don't know if I'm giving you too much credit, but we definitely hear a lot of the ideas that you push through.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many channels within the MFL Discord, let alone all the kind of sub Discords that we've got for MFL, and then other games that I'm in. And I don't read everything. I read normally when people tag me, or there's a couple of channels that I kind of check, and the ideas and suggestions is something that whenever I see, there's a little message in there, I'll click into it and have a read. And sometimes I read an ideas and suggestion. I'm like, you're requesting that because you want it to benefit what you do in the game and how you play the game. And I don't feel that those should be, not that they should be done, but normally when somebody says it, in my mind I go, that's not been done because of X. Because if we were to do this, you'd then be whack-a-mole, you fix this, that's broken. So whenever I kind of throw in ideas and suggestions, it's normally something where I'm like, this will help multiple cases. I don't think there'll be any negative from it. This is what I think I can do and throw it in. I think the last one, to be honest, I think I said to you before, my brain is terrible. It pops into my head. And if I don't write it down, it disappears. So the last one that I'd put in was yesterday. I'm acting like it was a long time ago. I was going through all my cup games in the My HQ and wanting to click and watch the game and see the score and then be like, right, have I made it through the group stage? So I was watching all my games afterwards, got all the scores and was like, right, now I want to go and see where I'm at in the cup. I don't want to have to go into, click on clubs, scroll down, select the club, load up the club page, scroll down, hit the cup, load up the cup page, see where I'm at. That's like 4 or 5 clicks, load of loading screens.
Yep.
Or secondly, is you go to My HQ, you click on the game, it opens up a tab. You then click at the top where you've got the little thing, it opens a new tab and then the club page. I've now seen it, but that's 3, 4, 5 clicks. I've then got to close that tab. I'm then into the game. I need to then back up that tab to get into my HQ. It's just like so messy. Whereas there's a little bubble where if you highlight it, it says this is the full cup, this is the tier you're in. Why can't we just make that little thing clickable to say this is the tier and the cup? Brilliant. I want to get into that tier and cup that you're telling me about. I think those kind of ideas are what make the game better for everybody. It's kind of a UI thing that will help. Oftentimes I cringe when I kind of, there was another one actually I suggested yesterday. God, yeah, I really do suggest too much. I was on my phone trying to review progression, and I'd go landscape. I could see like one player. I'd go portrait. I could see one. I was like, fucking hell, this is painful. So I think ideas and suggestions that are kind of use case definitely get picked up. Yes, they might not be easy to do. I don't have a clue. I'm not a computer whiz. I struggle opening up PowerPoint at the best of times, let alone doing all this bollocks. So when people can do this, and Yax is an absolute wizard, I don't think he gets enough praise, and I don't think the team itself gets enough praise. But when I suggest these things and they get actioned, it's like, wow. And then when I see a suggestion being like, we should change the way fitness is done because I want to get fitness back over the break, I'm just like, oh my God, go away. So I think that's kind of, not to say my ideas are amazing and other people's are terrible, but I always just try and think about ways that the game will be improved for everybody, not ways in which we could change the game, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. And that's probably why a lot of them are getting over the line, is that they're broader ideas. Because we do see some of that, like gamification or stuff that's too specific, or whatever it may be. But yeah, seeing broader things. I don't know if you mentioned this. The mobile app progression on the mobile app is you have to scroll quite a bit when you look.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, and that probably isn't the best use of time, because from what I understand, the mobile app is a completely different interface. There's probably other more valuable things that we would want to see, or we could see from the main page. And to your point, like, that may be where it's, hey, we know the mobile app's not ideal, but we can either give you this or we can give you this. And it's like, yeah, screw the mobile app. We'll pull it up on the webpage, or I'll scroll to the right. So yeah, to your point, I love that there's some creators that are shouting out the dev team and the work that they do. I love the story about y'all in Paris, and Yax kind of leaning over and saying, I gave an update and take a look and see if you can find it. Because there's a lot of little things that get done that I think we kind of notice or we just process instantly, and we're like, that's nice.
Yeah.
But to really call them out and praise them, I think is awesome.
I mean, what was funny in Paris? So it's on we get my days confused. It must have been on the Sunday, I think it was. So yeah, so that was it. So the event was on a Saturday, and on the Sunday morning we had kind of a big breakfast at the tennis ground. I don't know what tennis ground's called. Don't care for tennis. Roland Garros, I think, off the top of my head. Now I'm searching.
Yeah, that's it.
So in the training grounds, there was kind of a cafe, and not everybody from the night before could make it because people travelled home, and so there was about 30 people there, and throughout the day people were whittling away, going home, and we went for dinner. So it was myself, Josh Excels, obviously, me and him were there together. Not together, we sound like we're, in a romantic relationship. We'd agreed on an Airbnb for the whole weekend. So me, Josh Excels, Zuta, and Dakas. So there was the four of us and the three dev guys, and we went for an evening meal. So you've got Lucas, Matt, Yax, and then you've got us four on the other side of the table. Literally, you've got the dev team and you've got the users. So we're at this dinner for, I don't know, a couple of hours, and just chatting back and forth and asking questions and picking brains. And obviously the night before we'd seen the new photo realistic interfaces and stuff. We're going through all this, and I've got another story actually just popped into my mind. So yeah, so anyway, so we're going through all this, and Yax gets Maturin gets his phone out, and he's got the new website that they're building to basically bring the photorealistic players in line with, that we've seen the new logo and we've heard about the interface and stuff. So Maturin brings his phone and he goes, right, you can scroll through the website. It's not clickable, but you can see pages, and I'm scrolling through, and fucking hell, me, Josh, Suter, Dakas, this is brilliant. My brain all of a sudden starts going, oh, it'd be great if you could do this and change this and add this. And Yax just goes, do you ever stop? Oops. They're literally showing this brand new website that they've built loads of time. And I'm just there going, but that could be changed, that could be improved, or that's nice. But what about, and it's like, it's not because I'm saying it's bad. It's amazing. But it could be, and that's just the way my brain goes. And I think a few times in the channels, people have tagged me, and I'll say, look, I'm just the ideas man. I throw the ideas out. You guys can figure the rest. And my brain works in funny ways. But yeah, I was going to say the other story that just popped into my head. So the first night we got there, me and Josh walked down to the kind of bar where everybody was sat. So me, Josh, Suter, Suter picked us up from the airport. So the three of us went to this bar, and there was the dev guys, Dakas, Jimbo. There's going to be a couple more that I forget. Work the Space was there. I think that was it when we got there. So anyway, so we all said hello, a bit awkward, like we're all sat behind a computer screen. We've never seen each other's faces. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Da, da, da. Anyway, chatting away. A couple hours in, we start. The beers are flowing for people, and people are being a bit more honest and open. And I was chatting about things, and I was chatting to Matthew, and he was saying, oh, we're talking about whatever, and I was talking about some, comparison of different games and why MFL is good for the dev updates. And he sat there, and Matthew goes, what's your username? And I go, oh, it's Palmer. And Luke, and Yax's face just drops in his hand. We'd been there for an hour or so, and just it took me probably an hour at first to kind of realise what dev was what, because I was trying to think of their little kind of cartoon person and be like, is that and yeah, they didn't realise. So I'm there kind of giving praise, and already straight off the bat starting to rip things open, and they're like, who are you? And yeah, it's that made us laugh. Matthew was like, oh god, here we go. I'm pretty sure they left shortly after that. Actually, I don't know if that's related.
They're like, I gotta go. So I kind of had a couple questions, and I wasn't not even really sure how I want to phrase them, but the meetup was awesome. I obviously wasn't there, but was awesome to see, and there are so many great interactions. And have kind of a couple questions around that. I'm going to start with a kind of simple open and close one. Where do you want to see the next one for a meetup?
I'm in two minds, so I'd either rather like to see Manchester. So there's a lot of the kind of Ramble guys, which are Scotland based, and I think Manchester would be a brilliant middle point for the UK.
Yep.
Bring a lot of the UK together. I think it used to be French was the biggest community, then it was the American, and now it's the British. So, in terms of user base, there's the British is the most in the game, and I think something local for Manchester. I'm a Liverpool fan, but obviously you've got Old Trafford, you've got Etihad, you've got the Football Museum, you've got all that kind of in one. You've got Salford, which is a great place. So I think that would be a great local point. On the flip side, I'd also like to see East Coast US. I'm within the BFC, within the DAO. I speak to a lot of the American users on a daily basis, and I'd very much like to go and meet those guys. So either of those two, somewhere East Coast, maybe I can get in a Charlotte Hornets game, go and see them in live in the flesh, or somewhere in Manchester. So it's not too far to travel. That's where I'd like to see the next one.
Yep. So I kind of anticipated that you were going to say somewhere in England, obviously. And then I was going to try and follow up and say, if we go in US, where that's a question I want to keep poking people's opinions on. I think it'll be funny to hear different ideas. I heard Vegas mentioned. Vegas is cool. Obviously, there were so many cool things that you guys got to do in Paris, with the Parc de France and so much other kind of cultural things. It would be cool if that can continue to happen for future ones. I don't know if the US has anything quite so significant. And then the other side of it was just kind of the cool one-off stuff, right? The filming the show inside the Airbnb, There was kind of the joke about Calvis said, "Oh, Jimbo and I shared a shower, had the same shower, or something." Just some funny takeaways. There's a lot of great pictures that you guys sharing beers at a bar. That can happen anywhere. But one thing that I did want to
Yeah,
kind of call out, and I wonder if people will miss this, for a variety of reasons, that meetup was a pretty small group. One of the things that I worry about in the future is they do another meetup. Let's say they do East Coast, let's say they do New York or Atlanta, and there's like 350 people. It won't have, I don't think it would have quite the same feeling. Hard for me to say because I wasn't there.
I disagree. I'd very much disagree. So I agree with you. I think regardless of where in the world the next meetup is, obviously within reason, I think it will be much bigger. And I said this at the time. There's a lot of people who, whilst we were there, were getting FOMO and saying, "I wish I made it." There was a few people from the US who were, talking about flying over. There was the strikes within the French air traffic control, so a lot of people couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I think there was about 10 people that had their flights cancelled and couldn't make it over. But I think there was about 50 users there, so still a decent group of guys. And yes, there was a lot of mingling and stuff, but there was also a lot of people who were French speaking and spoke no English, and English speakers are famously known for not speaking any other language because we're stubborn. So it was kind of a broken bonjour, mate, and that was it. It's not speaking to anybody. But on the flip side, there was a lot of people who I'd never spoken to before, or they kind of came up and they go, "Oh, I've done a deal with you over this guy," and you just kind of spun around. And yes, there was kind of 50 people, and I was speaking to. So I was speaking to Josh on the evening of the event, and I'm saying to Josh, I was like, "Mate, I don't actually think I've seen you all day." And he's like, "No," because everybody's just kind of mixing around, and I think if there's 100 people, 300 people, 500 people, because nobody knows each other, it's not like school friends. You stick with your buddies and you don't want to speak to anybody else. We're all strangers. We've all got the common love of football, of MFL. So there's always something of, where are you from? Who do you support? What's your MFL username? Bang, conversation. And I think that was what was so great about the meetup. And I would like to see a few hundred people there. It might be a case that they have to say £10 ticket, first come, first serve, or, just to put some people off.
Yeah.
But why can't we go and get a 500 person meetup? That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's a great call. You brought up a lot of great points. I think there are goods and bads. There's a lot of different ways that they can cut it. They could do time slots, or they could do, if there's, I should know this, I'm from Atlanta, but let's say there's a huge convention center and they kind of do 500 people at the huge convention center, and then they block people into groups of 50 to do a tour of Mercedes-Benz Stadium is Atlanta United Stadium. That's where the American football team plays. And they say, like, hey, we can do tours of the stadium, but like only in groups of 50, and then you're given a number 1 through 10. And like group 1 goes and then comes back, group 2 goes and comes back, something like that. I don't know that you could do a tour. The logistics around a tour of 500 people through a stadium feels a bit reckless.
I suppose they had to kind of cap it. I mean, it's a difficult one. So when I was speaking to Matthew, and I asked at first, I said, "What are the plans?" So I don't drink, and I said to Matt and Lucas, I think I was like, "Is it just going to be in a pub?" Because if I'm flying to Paris to sit in a bar as somebody who doesn't drink, everybody's going to get pissed. I'm going to be sober still. I'm going to get bored and want to go. So I'm not there for that. And being in the Parc des Princes was amazing. Once in a lifetime opportunity to be in the stadium at 1 a.m. and absolutely fantastic. But for 95% of the time, I didn't realise where I was. I wasn't there for the PSG stadium. And yes, it would be great to go and do it. And I'm somebody who, if the season was on, I would have definitely gone and watched a local game. I mean, we mentioned non-league. I would have gone and found a local game and kind of watched it, but there was no sport on at the time. And I don't see why we can't do a, Manchester and go to a Salford or a FC United or Tranmere Rovers and get 200 people to a non-league game you basically double the attendance, £5, £10, or the same in America. Why we can't go and all bundle into a college football or a college American football or basketball, or go and have a meetup and just let's go get fucking
Yeah.
stupid. Um, I think Maturin and the guys definitely realise that they may have set the bar too high. Like when you're young and you're speaking to a girl and you want to throw the world at her to try and win her over, and you think, shit, I can't keep this up. So I think expectations might need to be lowered, but yeah, whatever happens, I'm sure it's going to be great. And I do look forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I never had a shot at going. Passport's expired, and I have two. I have one little one and one slightly bigger than little one, and I knew that I had no shot in hell. But I was like, man, that would have been a lot of fun. I got to join two So Rare guys at a Copa America semifinals, which was across the street from the Charlotte Hornets stadium. Um,
Wow.
and had a blast with two guys and just getting to know them, um, and just kind of hanging and chatting. And I've been looking for that since. I'm hoping that we'll get another opportunity, whether it's MFL or whatever. It's something that I think we should be aware of is we don't necessarily need MFL to host it. If we want to get into a stadium, we may need them to host it. But it is not unreasonable for somebody to say, hey, let's pick a weekend and all me, and then try and organize some stuff around it. I think a lot of the great stories and a lot of the great takeaways were at Airbnbs. They were at pubs. They were at dinners. And if somebody kind of leads that, it is very realistic that one or two of the devs would say, hey, I'm free that weekend. I'll come hang with you guys.
Yeah.
So
I think the French community are actually talking about doing that within themselves. When they were there was a lot of them. So there's quite a few people I think who were like Marseille fans and were a bit pissed off there at the PSG stadium. And a few of them, if you've seen photos, they all had kind of shirts printed off with their names on the back and a number that they picked, which was amazing, absolutely brilliant. And they were talking about kind of doing a French meetup themselves as a little community. And I think So Rare Ramble guys have kind of spoken about doing that. So, or the Ramble, I don't know what to call them anymore. The Ramble guys have been speaking about doing that maybe up in Scotland. So, yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a lot more people, myself included. I've Snake, he's from Germany. I was trying to convince him to go over there, but he was being a bit of a bitch. So instead, I'm gonna fly out and go and watch a Hanover game versus Schalke at the end of in a couple of months. Never been to Germany. Met him through the game, complete stranger, but decided let's go and watch a game together. All come through the game, so it's brilliant.
Is he Hanover or Schalke?
He's Hanover.
Good. I'm a Dortmund fan, and
Oh, okay.
I can't claim that I have like a ton of fan hood around it, but I know enough that can't root for Schalke. So no, but that's awesome. I kind of to your point, the lower division games, the second division of Germany, I think it's the best attendance of any of the second divisions, and I watch a fair bit on ESPN. I can get second division Bundesliga for a couple of the big games. It amazed me. Those stadiums are packed, and they're big stadiums. The culture is incredible.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, I've never been to Germany, but every time I've ever seen anything, I've been like, wow. So yes, I'm looking forward to meeting that. So should be good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you speak any German?
No,
No.
I don't plan to learn any either.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I've done few Duolingo lessons in German, and I don't know that I've retained any of it. But yeah, I fall into the group of Americans that what was the phrase used? Too stubborn or too stupid to learn another language. I don't know which one I am, but I'm one of the two.
I think I'm a bit of both.
Yeah, I can relate. I would love to get to Germany as well, and I have kind of the same opinion. I would love to see Dortmund and sit in the Yellow Wall. I think I would also love to go to a a lower division game and just go hang and watch some younger kids. The third division of Germany has a lot of the second teams like BBB2, and they play a lot of their U21s in there. I think it'd be so much fun to go watch and grab a beer and sit in and just hang out. So that would be a dream. If there's another big meetup, I hope I could make it work somehow. Rather, another big meetup in Europe, I hope I can make it work somehow.
Yeah.
I think if it's in the U.S., I think
yeah. I mean, I've already said the same basically for the US. I think if there's kind of, not necessarily a year's heads up, but if, I'd certainly need a decent heads up to kind of plan it as my holiday for the year. It would have to be a big one. I'm not the kind of person who can just on a whim go, let's go away for a week and, spend a few £1,000 on hotels and flights. I don't like any of you guys that much. But, we'll see if we can make it work.
That's the biggest challenge is getting from country to country. The flights are they're so big. We have the World Cup next year, so if there's ever an excuse to get people in, bring in
it's a good one.
A meetup and a World Cup and catch a game or two, and then go to a Charlotte Hornets game and maybe a minor league baseball game. But yeah,
perfect week.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many cool takeaways from the meetup, and I think some of it is going to be repeatable, and some of it is going to be, to your point, setting a precedent. I'm sure we set a precedent that's probably a bit too high. I don't think we're going to be able to go into the world's best stadiums every time, and you're only going to have one first. But I think everyone's kind of yearning. The people that were there are yearning to get back, and the people that weren't there are yearning to have it again. So I had a lot of questions about it. It just even watching videos and clips and just kind of brings so much joy. The clip that went around that said, find someone that looks at you the way that Jimbo looks at Calvo was great. And so many people got to meet people first time. And yeah, looking forward to that. And were there any people from the U.S. that came over that you know of?
I don't think so. No.
I'm kind of running back through my head, and I certainly don't know everybody, but that kind of stood out to me now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, that nobody came. But to the point, it's a big commitment.
I mean, it makes sense because obviously the Parc de France was only announced kind of a couple weeks away from it, and there was talk of a few people once that came out being like, damn it, I'll try. But again, I think like myself coming to a US one, if it was heads up, this is what we're planning to do, this is what we're doing, you've got 3-4 months to do it, I'm sure we'd have seen more, but that's for next time.
Yep, for sure. Version 2. So you posted something in Twitter, changing directions a little bit, and you turned off friendlies. You did no preseason friendlies, and kind of commented and thought that that's the way that it should be. Correct me if I'm misphrasing that, but do you still feel that way? Do you think that should be a hard rule?
No, it's not something that I think should be a rule, and I absolutely understand people that want to run friendlies. It was more of I don't personally run friendlies. Is there other people with the same mindset, or is kind of everybody like, no, I run 1,000 friendlies every single season, and that's the only way to make success? I mean, maybe I've ran some friendlies over the past seasons, but whatever reason, I don't know. I used to manage a couple of plat teams, got a platinum team in, I think the platinum team finished 5th or 6th, BFC Mustangs, got them to the Titans Cup final as a mid-table plat side. People might say, yeah, it's because it was the 4-3-3 attack meta season, but I say the manager was amazing, so suck on that. But yeah, I've kind of, my main team is Black Country Ballers, so that's a silver team now, and I've had the same shape and same structure for as many seasons as I can remember, really. We run a 4-1-2-1-2 wide, left mid, right mid, and the team is just it builds itself. There's a couple of changes where I kind of will pack somebody and come and bring somebody in. There's a few players who I might need to look to change out due to aging. But overall, I'm pretty stacked. And people might say, "Oh, but does it work?" I've just quickly flicked through and updated my my table. So I have 15 clubs that I actively run. It was 16. I sold one mid season. I've got 2 other clubs that I've got loaned out. That one is FC Almada and one's Varsovia. So those 2 clubs are out on loan, so I don't really count them within my what do you call it?
Your gallery,
win loss record. Yeah. So I've got one team is on loan to James, which is Hammers. I don't know what his Discord. MFL is, and the other one's So Legendary. So from the 15 teams that I've got, 12 of them have made it through to the knockouts in the cup. So correct me if I'm wrong, I think 12 out of 15 teams making it to the knockout is pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
And in terms of league success, my overall club record for those 15 teams, he says, what's this? Let me just do this real quick. So I've got 78 wins, 26 draws and 56 losses with a goal difference of a positive 43. So that's a combined record, of those teams. Now, a lot of those teams, Black Country Ballers was set up before the season, but pretty much 14 of the other 15 are brand new teams, brand new formations, brand new tactics, brand new set of players. It's not like, but you've played it for seasons and got it. Throw the players into a club. I'll have a little look and say, right, I've got these players available. Force them into a team and just kind of run set foot, tactics. I've got a positive win-loss record. I've got a positive goal difference. I'm successful in the cup. I just don't see the need for running friendlies. That's a long-winded answer. I apologise.
No. I like it. You said a lot of things. There were kind of a lot of takeaways. So, I've heard some people mention or kind of ramble and say like we shouldn't have friendlies. We should just run with it. And I think there's some interesting reasons behind that. If there are metas that are a bit too strong or stuff, then there's more of a discovery period and it adds a little bit of a skill issue. I kind of understand the concept behind it, but I also like running friendlies. I don't necessarily think that running a bunch of friendlies gets you anywhere. I think I'm a great example. I've run a bunch of friendlies and I feel like I've just dug myself further and further into a hole. And I got to the point where I was like, somebody help me out of this hole because I don't know what to do anymore, and I'm too far away from baseline. But you brought up a couple good points. You talked about running the same formation, learning from it, having players in. I talked with Kev last week, Kev Hurd, and I think there are very specific things that he did going into building the team and how he wanted to be able to be flexible and how flexible he wanted to be. And very, very quickly listening and looking, it seems like there's probably a lot of things in your formation that you've said, I want to be able to do this. And so I need these attributes and I need to do this. And you're able to kind of really focus in and maximize your formation, your shape, your tactics.
I'd agree with that for the one team that you've got on screen because, like I say, this team has kind of been built around. I've run 17 players out of 25.
Yeah.
A lot of players cover multiple formations. Solmaz is the cam. There was a French guy, Robert, in there up until last season who could play cam and left mid. I sold him. So Solmaz has come in just as a backup, plays a handful of games. Madrid, he's got the death warning, so I thought, brilliant, you can go sit on the bench. So those 2 guys don't really matter. The centre-back, the German centre-back, the 82, he was a recent pickup off B-Sellers who can play CDM and centre-back, so he's an 83, CDM 82 centre-back, I think. Jefferson Candido gets a +1 at centre-back. Rehak gets like a +3 or 4 in centre-back coming in from right-back. So there's a few players that, get those plus stats and plus attributes, and definitely kind of Roman Severo. Sorry, no, Severa's my old guy. Gilliam, the right mid, the French guy, he was kind of bought for that formation. Varga, the left mid, right mid, he was a pack ball player that I just threw into the team. so some of these guys have just kind of fallen in, but there's other cool people. I mean, Frank was packed. If you click on him and have a little look at his progression, Frank the CDM. So I put him into the dev center for 3 seasons. So packed him, put him into the dev center for 3 seasons, and he's now got I think he's the fastest true out and out CDM in the game. He's got unbelievable defense, and he's one of those players that I don't think I can ever sell. He's got a younger age, so he's highly likely to have another at least 10 seasons. He's just broken tier jail for a Lego, so who knows where he can get to. That's an exciting packball player who, at the time when I packed him, his stats were horrible. I threw him into the dev center for 3 years because I couldn't be asked to do anything with him, and he's just exploded and became good. So these are the stories. But then, as I've kind of shared with some of my other clubs where I'm getting success across the board, that's a nice little bit of movement.
I want to point out, though, that not everyone has incredible success with Dev Center. So if you've thrown a guy in there and he's just been a dud, 3 years he went from 38 to 42. I guess I shouldn't be complaining with +4, but 42 is not doing anything for me. So I just wanted to point out, because we hear about these trust the process +35s and the Dev Center 3 years to a Lego, and it's not always positive. These are our favorite stories. So,
of course, you want to pick the cream of the crop. But going back to, the kind of initial question around the friendlies, when I look at Black Country Ballers BCB, I don't have to run friendlies with them because I know tactically how they're going to set up. I'll start the same start the season with pretty much what I do last season. I might read a few people where people go, oh my God. So this year, people going, oh my God, the CDMs are broken. The CDMs don't work. And I was like, okay. So I just changed the setting based on what I'd read in chat, and kind of went from there. But a lot of these players now that we're kind of scrolling through, these guys are people that I've bought through agency buys. I've not looked at their attributes and cared about what players they are. I've not looked at their progression and thought this is going to be a great guy. It's literally somebody said, this is a $20 player. If you buy 100 of the guys, I'll give him to you for $12. And I've gone, sounds good to me. And I've picked him up without knowing who he is or what he is. And at the start of the season, I've just gone, right, you guys go play together. I've then gone into tactics and gone, right, I've got a 4-2-3-1, I've got a 4-2-2, I've got a 4-3-3, I've got whatever, 3-5-2 formation. I've got a varied formations that I play with. Projections wise, so you're on Leipzig at the moment. Leipzig are projected 9th. Where are they in the league?
6th. Doing well.
6th. So, and that's basically a story throughout. I'm pretty much on par with projections, if not better. Who's the outlier? I think it's Kutiana. I can never pronounce that one. They're in ice. So there's it's a Turkish side for myself. We're projected 7th in terms of that one on the left, and there you'll see the Metalor Zaporizhzhia team that I've got with the same that I'm wearing. So Kutiana are first. They were projected 7th at the start of the season. Now, if you go into the squad and view progression and current season, I'd highly think that the kind of projections have changed, because if you look at the top boy there, Machado,
that helps.
Unbelievable. First season in there, gone +6, that helps. So when I say friendlies aren't needed, I think over the course of a season, you're going to figure some things out in the first couple of games. You've got the cup games where you can rest and or even push for success. Back end of the season, people start giving up. Obviously, the higher up the ladder you go, the less likely they're going to give up. But certainly in kind of ice and below, you're going to get DNFs. You're going to get people not rotating well and becoming fatigued. You're going to get people screwing themselves over with multiple bookings. You don't need to know how to perfect the 4-2-3-1, how to perfect the 4-3-3. You just need to know how to have a solid group of guys and kind of set yourself up without failing. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate it, which is why I say don't run friendlies. Because if you're running a friendly to say, right, I want my right mid to be high freedom. I want him to dribble more, shoot less, cross more. I want him to go direct. I want him to trigger press. Well, my mind says, one man's built this game engine. How the fuck is that going to work? You've overcomplicated it. So strip it back. Right, your right winger can't shoot for shit. Less long shots, more cross, done. Why overcomplicate is what I say. And as we see, the boys are sitting first. So,
yeah.
Proof in the pudding.
I think overcomplicating. I definitely did that. I've not had great results, and I do think there's been a little bit of a punishment for overcomplicating, and I think there's like simplifying it and just running some very specific things or some very straightforward things makes sense in real life. And I think it's easier to manage. One of the things that I've done is just tried to slide everything so much, and it wasn't working. And I got a couple games into the season, was frustrated, just went balanced 50% sliders, and then tried to dial back and had a decent result, and then tinkered a little bit from there. But I mean, it's apparent you didn't run a bunch of friendlies, but it's apparent that you know the game pretty well, and that's helped you. I don't know that that's great advice for brand new users.
No, it's not advice. It's just kind of my story, I think, and I'd like to say that I both have a good understanding of the game and also I have a good understanding of football. I think that's kind of where my mind goes. And if this was a basketball version, I've watched 4 games of basketball in my life, and I still don't know what position is. I only just found out there's 5 people on the I was about to say pitch, the court at one time. I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
But I play this football game because it's a football game and I know football. So if I jump into a Wendo Extreme and I'm doing a watch along, that's probably, to be honest, I don't even watch all my games. So a watch along is probably where I view the most games. And if I see that their right back keeps doing this, or that whenever their defender gets the ball and hoofs along through ball, they get a one-on-one and score. Well, okay, I'm going to play direct. It's that's the way I see it. I view a few things and do it. Now, there's certainly, and this is why I say as well about other plugins or websites, I don't agree with them. You mentioned Kev Hurd. There's obviously Bob Orangefly, Sturgeonator, Dio. There's certain users that, and they're just the ones that I know. I'm not to say they're the only ones. There's certain users that will go and run hundreds of friendlies pre-season, and they will go and get spreadsheets and data, and they'll do inter-club friendlies or inter-agency friendlies where they'll run a club against kind of a test example of their own team so they can see what they're doing, and they get stats and percentages and say this will work, and then you look at their team in the season, you go, oh wow, it works. And I think that those people that do that should be rewarded. If you go and spend time and effort, because it's every 5 minutes is the earliest you can click a match.
Yeah.
And it's not just about watching the score and the stats and XG. It's about actually visually seeing, how did that XG come about? How did the goal get created? Or I've not scored. Why haven't I scored? Why am I low possession? You have to watch the game to understand that. You can't just run a friendly, look at the score and figure it out. And I think if you put time and effort into doing that, you should be rewarded. What I don't want to see is people putting loads of time and effort into friendlies, a website getting created, pulling all the data and going, right, here's it for everybody to view. Because that shouldn't reward everyone, it should reward them. And so I will die on the hill that if I fail through not running friendlies, I fail. If you click back into my agency, the ICE team Metalor Zaporizhia is doing horrendous. We're projected 7th, and I think we have 1 win all season. That one there, second, keep going up. There you go. In the foreign language.
Okay.
The red and yellow. Yeah. So that club, I just can't get it to work. I mean, we're not even on the leaderboard. You've got to scroll down. Yeah. So we're projected 2nd. We're drawing a load of games. We can hardly win. I think we got knocked out the cup. Where did we get knocked out the cup? Okay. We finished 2nd in the group stage in the cup. So we've got a bit of cup success. We've not got the strongest team. It's failing. any manager in their right mind would now spend the next 2 days running friendlies, stressing over a mid-season transfer and trying to fix their team. And I'm just kind of, it is what it is, because I don't want to have to run friendlies. I'm creating XG, I'm scoring goals, but I keep conceding, and I've not watched a single game in full. I've viewed the goals and the highlights and kind of skimmed it over. Um, and that's just kind of my mindset. There's going to be some games where I over excel and some clubs that I do really well in. Other teams I don't do great. So I think if you're a new user and you're coming in and run friendlies, brilliant. Go run friendlies, go learn the game, go learn the engine. It's just personally not something I want to do. Now, on the flip side, I know this is, kind of for an MFL podcast. But I think we spoke about it before. I went in to play Footium a few seasons back, and I wanted to build a club. So I bought a club, and I wanted to go buy players. So I bought players, and didn't know what tactics or formations I could use. So I kind of, bought a club, started doing tactics and formations. It was now like, right, I want to go play a game. I want to learn what this is all about. And they went, oh no, we don't have friendlies. I was like, so I had to wait till real competition. And then real competition came, and there was no visual because they don't have a 2D match engine. So then I couldn't actually see what I'd set up. And then I lost or I won, and I didn't know why because I'm not running friendlies. So if I was a new user, I'd absolutely be running friendlies. I've played this game for a year and a half, which is probably why I don't do it anymore. I never did it in full, but I certainly don't do it anymore. So, it's not me saying don't run friendlies, they're bad for you. It's just I sit there going, do I really want to waste 3 hours of my life running friendlies? And what will I get back from it? And probably not a lot, because I'm quite thick and quite, ADHD brain. I'll stop watching the screen. I'll have lost and I go, crap, run another one. So, there's good and bad. And like I say, sitting on a screen now of my club that's doing horrendous. So it's not all success stories, but it was quite interesting to see the replies and the comments being like, I run friendlies, you should run them. Go away. No, don't go away. It's good conversation.
Yeah. One of the things I really like about MFL is there's so many different ways to play this. And I've talked about this. And there are layers and elements to that, right? I've referenced Trust the Process that has, this isn't completely true, but kind of like a losing strategy where he's looking at player progression, he's looking at value, club value, and all these different things. And the most important thing to him isn't necessarily winning the league. There are so many different other ways that he's looking into the game. Same thing into tactics. You mentioned Bob and Kev that are going into friendlies and doing it this way. I think it's great that there's no right answer. Contrary to what Twitter may tell you, I responded in there, and my opinion was basically like, you got to do the research at some point, or otherwise it's not going to work. I think from you've probably done the research in past, and you're probably evaluating some stuff. And, it's not just luck, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good conversation on the Wender one, episode 100. I think Nepenthes basically said tactics are pointless. I don't agree with it. I've certainly been done tactically where you watch a goal and clearly the way they've set up is by playing direct and crossing it, because I'm getting up and playing brilliant football. They boot it to the winger, whip it in and score, and I'm like, so tactics work, and finding the right tactic is great. But yeah, it's just something I'm a bit bored of.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I'll run a lot of friendlies when I get quiet time at night, but we can both enjoy MFL the way we want, and that's awesome.
100%.
You mentioned the 100th episode, something I wanted to talk about. I really enjoyed the conversation that y'all had around growth, where the site goes, and you talked about a second pyramid. I thought that was a really interesting idea, a really creative idea for next steps. One of the things that I got excited about was the kind of the Champions League, Conference League tie into what that would look like in MFL, where you've got different pyramids competing against each other. The cups are awesome, but we can go even bigger. Do you still think that that's the best idea? And have you evolved on that opinion at all?
I think that first, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, or you might not know the history, so somebody else can correct me in the comments. So I think that was something the team floated an idea at first. So it was going to be kind of the pyramid would be here, and the second pyramid would be slightly lower results. You'd have a new diamond, but the diamond kind of would payout would be like plat of the existing pyramids. I think is what they discussed. That was all discussed before Spark. You then had the, call it the Nepenthes boom. Spark sold out in ridiculous time. We now moved on to Flint. And I think they kind of said, Flint needs to be the bottom. We can't just keep building and building and building. Because as we've seen with the rewards and the payouts, it gets to a point where
it's zero.
Is it even worth?
Yeah.
Is it even worth buying into the game because it's going to take you 10 years in real life to pay back the club? So I think if we're looking at a new pyramid, it's kind of how, and I still don't understand how we can achieve it, because if you are to open up a new pyramid and start from top to bottom, what players are needed to compete in there?
Yeah.
Do people just go in and I'm going to go drop a few grand and sandbag a club to just relegate it over and over? Do we have the active user base to go and buy new, we'll call it gold level team to be in a new pyramid of diamonds? So a gold team can cost, 5 grand plus before buying the club. Do we have users that will go and spend 5 to 10 grand to go and compete at the top of a new pyramid? I don't know if we have, many, let alone 12 to do a whole division plus subdivisions. Do you start at the bottom and work it up? So, you say, right, there's 200 clubs and people will promote up. You're just going to then get people stacking and people complain, and it's not going to be competitive because people just want to race to the top. So that's not going to be fun. I don't understand it. And obviously you then got, well, can the players from Pyramid 1 go into Pyramid 2? I don't know. Do you have to create a new player pool? In which case you then segregate in half the community from the other half of the community. If I'm coming as a new user and I say, oh, Ryan, I want one of your players, and you say, oh, I'm in the different pyramid, see you later. How do I introduce a friend to the game and say, oh, you should come and play this game that I play, but you won't be playing the game that I'm in. You'll be in a different one, in a different pyramid. That's not fun. So that's the difficulties. However, I'd absolutely love it. And you mentioned the cup competitions. I want to get a bit of a complaint in. I'm still not a fan of the group stage wins. I don't like that idea. I don't like it. I think you should get rewarded for success in the cup, not for winning group stage matches. I understand it makes every game competitive right to the end, but in reality, it only made one, the last game kind of non-competitive. I've still seen ample of people who just go and bench their whole team in the cup and don't care about it for 6 games and just rest it and boost the league. So I don't think that works. I've heard people say, oh, but it's like a, in the Champions League, you get paid money to be in the competition. Yeah, but in the Champions League, you have to qualify and do something for it to be paid for those games. Sure. This is just an automatic. This is an FA Cup thing, in which case FA Cup money for games is split 50-50 between the clubs. Well, not 50-50, about 30%, 30%, and the other going up, to the fellas that be high up. Yeah. In which case, we should just reward everybody for being in the games no matter what. So I don't like the fact that we pay to win. I think it should be paid for winning the whole thing. But what would be beautiful, and I don't even know if we need a new pyramid for this, I would love to qualify for a competition next season. So, yeah, your top 3 of each league go into, whether you promote or not, you're in a new competition next season. It boosts the value of the clubs, because if you want to sell out, well, you can sell out with the idea that you're in a competition next year. It makes more creativity and more fun because it's just a longer competition. It holds people in the club. so like in the game, people don't go, I finished third, I didn't promote, I want to sell out. You've got a cup next season, you can get more MFL. So I think there's so much we can do with the current pyramid. I would really, really, really like the promos to be stopped for club selling. I would like the promos to still be there for new users, to get people into the game. And I think we need to stop selling promos to the existing users, because clubs need to kind of have a bit of a boost financially. There's too many of them. But yeah, I think if we can slow down Flint, for a little bit longer, rather than boosting it more clubs to the same users. If people want more clubs, hit the marketplace. Let's get the money spinning within the game. But yeah, a new pyramid would be great, wouldn't it? Just imagine that, having the clash of the titans. Pyramid 2 versus Pyramid 1.
Yeah, I love so many of the ideas that you threw out, and I I really appreciate the consistency with the kind of I'm just the ideas guy. We are like, I don't know how they would do it, but the second pyramid would be great. And the good news is the dev team is great. I really like this. I don't think I would be so invested in the game if I didn't love the dev team. I was telling Kev, there's another strategy game that I play that has a great developer, and is very vocal and very forward with the community and talks about the game and how the strategy works and what's new and what's changing in the updates. Very similar to MFL. It gives such a layer of trust and tinkers so many of those like ideas, those strategic ideas, and it's awesome.
Definitely.
We're getting close. I'm not going to compete with the Winder cast and the launch. But do you have aspirations? Are you buying more packs tonight? What's your approach going into our mid-season pack drop?
I'm honestly not too sure. I think the last the last two pack drops, I said I'm not going to get any packs, and I bought them all plus floaty packs. So I think I'm going to say again, I'm not going to buy any packs and see what I pull tonight.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I think last pack and maybe the pack before, and bought packs. I told myself the same thing with this pack drop, and then I told myself, if I can sell on a player and raise the funds, then I'll buy a pack with the funds that I raise. And I have not sold the player, and I'm gonna deposit more on Dapper, and I'm gonna go buy a pack. So I know what I'm supposed to do, and I know what I'm gonna do, and they're not the same thing. But
I love the honesty.
yeah, it's too much fun. I think last pack drop, I usually target the uncommon pack, and I bought my uncommon pack, and then there was the kickoff pack was like still there, and they were like, oh, there's still 33 left, and I was like, can't leave packs unopened. So I went in, plucked one, and I opened it, and my pack success has been very good. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but opened the kickoff pack and got two kind of crappers, and I was like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, I knew I was wrong, and I did it anyways. And I'm gonna go do it again. But I think that just kind of highlights how much fun this game is. It gets echoed consistently throughout the community, and it's absolutely true.
That's for sure.
Wish you the best of luck. Do you open on stream? Do you open behind the scenes? How does that work for you?
No, I'll normally just rip my packs open and drop a few screenshots in some chats. Yeah, I used to open on stream, but the game's grown and the queue's too long that I'm too impulsive, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I came in between season 1 and 2, and there were usually like, you could jump right in. Like you could jump in and he would go in and open it. And I watched the last one, and he was like one pack. Everyone gets one pack. I think Josh XL's jumped in and had like 9 packs and opened the bottom one, and they were like next, and he was like wait, open the good one. So it's fantastic. The success of the stream is great. It's great for him to grow, for them to grow, and it's fun to have the community kind of engaging, and the chat banner and the shirt changes, and it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to jump in there. So
I'll see you in the chat later then.
Yep, for sure. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say before we close?
No, that's it. I think I've rambled and ranted your ear off and probably everybody else's. So thank you for having me on. It's been good. It's always nice to talk about the game that we love and play so much. So thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, no, I would have expected nothing less than a good ramble and a. Uh, I think we've heard a lot of good ideas. Great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk very soon.
Top man.